6 days before the wedding, Tiffany went out to dinner with her best friend, Rachel. She left my apartment around 6:45 p.m., wearing her favorite navy coat. She told me they had a reservation at a new restaurant Rachel wanted to try. Asked her to call me afterward. She smiled and said, "Don't wait up." That was the last thing she said to me. By 10:30 p.m., I still hadn't heard from her. I sent a text, "All good." No reply. At 11:15, I called her. Straight to voicemail. By midnight, I was pacing the floor. I called Rachel. She picked up on the second ring. "Hey, Lucas," she said, sounding tired. "Everything okay?" "Yeah. Is Tiffany with you?" There was a pause. "She left a while ago," Rachel answered. "Around 9 o'clock. She wasn't feeling well and said she was going home early." "Did she seem upset?" I asked. "She was quiet. Said she had a headache." "Why?" "Tiffany never came home," I told her. Rachel sounded confused, then concerned. "Maybe she stopped at her place. Want me to check?" We hadn't officially moved in together yet. Her lease was still active. The plan was to combine apartments after the honeymoon. I told Rachel I'd already tried calling. She offered to drive by and check if Tiffany's car was at her building. I was already grabbing my keys. By 1 a.m., I'd circled her building 3 times. Her car wasn't there. The apartment lights were off. No sign of her. I called again. Voicemail. That's when the unease turned into something sharper. Panic. I checked the nearest hospital. Then another. Nothing. Finally, I called the police. They said unless there were signs of danger or it had been over 24 hours, they couldn't do much. Still, they filed a report. I showed them our save-the-date card, engagement photos, her driver's license info. They asked if we'd had any recent arguments. We hadn't. By 4 a.m., I was sitting on the edge of our bed, surrounded by vendor contracts and half-packed suitcases. I stared at her dress bag hanging in the corner. Everything was supposed to be ready. Instead, Tiffany was gone. By the next afternoon, the panic had hardened into confusion. Not quite anger, not yet, but a hollow ache. I kept calling. Still voicemail. Her sister hadn't heard from her. Neither had her father. No one had any answers. Rachel called again. "Still nothing?" she asked. "Nothing." "She didn't say a word to me," Rachel insisted. "She paid for her drink and left. That's it." I believed her. Rachel and I had always gotten along. She'd helped plan parts of the reception. She sounded just as shaken as I was. That night, the police called. They had found Tiffany, alive, unhurt, staying alone in a rental cabin near Lake Roslyn, about 2 hours north of the city. No accident. No foul play. She had left on her own. Voluntarily. She hadn't called anyone. Not her family, not Rachel, not me. According to the officer, she said she needed space, wasn't in danger, and made it very clear she didn't want visitors. Including me. That's when it hit. She left by choice. I stared at the wall for a long time after that. We'd been together for years. Tiffany was the type who color-coded her grocery lists. She'd built spreadsheets for the wedding, tracked timelines, details, and now she was hiding in a cabin without telling a soul, days before our wedding. That night, I started making calls. First, the venue, $6,000 deposit gone. Then the caterer, $3,200, non-refundable. Florist, partial refund, minus a $900 cancellation fee. Every call felt like a door slamming shut. When I reached the travel agent for the honeymoon in Bice, the trip Tiffany insisted we book early. I didn't even flinch. Flights and resort, non-refundable. Another $4,500 down the drain. The ring was last. It sat in a little velvet box on my desk like it was waiting for her to come back. Tiffany had chosen the design. It cost me $11,000, custom-made, no financing. I took it back to the jeweler. The owner gave me a quiet look as he examined it. Then he sighed. "I can offer $6,200. I know it's a hit." I took it. I didn't have time to feel anything. Refunds weren't coming. My accounts were bleeding. Rent was still due. I began packing her things, her shoes, her makeup, her curling iron still plugged into the bathroom outlet. All of it boxed and stacked by the hall closet. I wasn't angry.
Not yet.
Just focused. That's when Carol, Tiffany's mom, called. "Lucas," she said gently. "We just heard from the police. She's safe." I stayed silent. "We're shocked."
We don't understand.
"She hasn't even returned our calls." "She hasn't called me either," I replied.
A pause.
Then, "Is the wedding still happening?"
No.
"I've canceled everything." Another pause.
Oh.
Silence. "We didn't raise her to be this way," Carol said finally. I didn't respond. What was the point? After the call, I opened a spreadsheet and started tracking every dollar. I wasn't planning revenge. I was planning closure. 3 days after selling the ring, I was in a meeting reviewing blueprints when Tanya, our receptionist, peeked in. "Lucas, sorry, someone's here to see you. Says it's urgent." I excused myself, thinking it was a vendor. I stepped into the lobby.
Tiffany.
Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun. Her eyes were red. She wore leggings and a hoodie. No polish. Just wrecked. I stopped 10 feet from her. "What are you doing here?" "I need to talk to you," she said, voice shaky. "Here? At my job?" I didn't know where else to go. My boss looked down the hall, raised an eyebrow. I gave him a nod. "Just a minute." Tiffany stepped closer. I didn't. "I'm sorry," she blurted. I panicked. "I didn't know how to tell you." "So you didn't." "I needed space. I didn't mean to be gone that long." "You left 6 days before our wedding."
Ghosted me.
"Ghosted your family. Everyone." "I know," she whispered. "The police had to find you." "I'm sorry," she said again, starting to cry. This wasn't cold feet. This was running away like a fugitive. I didn't want to lie. Rachel was the only one I talked to. She told me I was being selfish and I just couldn't deal. "You couldn't deal, so I got stuck with the bills." She looked shocked, like the thought hadn't even occurred to her. "I canceled everything. I sold the ring." Her face crumpled. "What? You sold it?" "I paid for it. Like I paid for most of the wedding. The ring helped cover some of the losses, barely. That ring was based on my grandmother's design. You had no right." "No right?" I said quietly. "You walked away. The moment you disappeared, you forfeited everything." I was scared. I was blindsided. And I was left cleaning up the mess. "Please, Lucas," she whispered. "Don't end it like this." "It ended the day you left." She stood there, shaking. I pointed toward the door. "Go." That night, my phone rang. Carol again. I let it ring once before answering. "Lucas," she said. "I spoke to Tiffany." "Yeah." She showed up at my office. Caused a scene in front of my team. "She's devastated." "I'm sure." A pause. "We understand the wedding is canceled, but there's the matter of the honeymoon. We gave you 2 $5,000 gifts. We'd like them returned, at least partially. You want the money back?" It was meant for the trip, which obviously didn't happen. It was spent, Carol. Tiffany picked the resort. The deposit and flights were non-refundable. But if you canceled... I canceled after Tiffany vanished. It was too close to departure. The policy was clear. "Well, we feel that money wasn't used as intended." I exhaled. "Carol, I've lost nearly $18,000. The ring covered about a third. I paid for the venue, catering, photographer, florist, most of which you didn't contribute to. I also covered the $900 florist cancellation fee because you and your husband didn't pay your share on time. We never agreed to that amount. You agreed to the flowers. I have the emails." Her voice hardened. "I don't think you understand how difficult this has been for Tiffany." "No, Carol. I do. She disappeared. That caused damage, emotional, financial, public. And now you want your gift back." "She made a mistake," Carol snapped. "But you're being cold."
No.
Cold is disappearing without telling anyone. Cold is making your fiancé cancel the wedding alone. I'm just being clear. This is unfair, Lucas. What's unfair is expecting me to carry your family's mess and then pay you back for the privilege. If you refuse, we may have to consider other options. Try me, I said and hung up. The next morning, I sat at my kitchen table, laptop open, receipts spread out. I opened the wedding budget Tiffany and I built. Every vendor, every deposit, every charge. I included Carol and her husband's unpaid balance and documented how their $5,000 was applied to the exact resort Tiffany chose and booked. I printed 3 bound copies. Sent them registered mail. 1 to Tiffany, 1 to Carol, 1 to their lawyer just in case. A few days later, Rachel texted, "Just a heads up, your spreadsheet caused a nuclear meltdown." Good. Carol and Tiffany opened it together. Chloe said Tiffany screamed. Carol blamed her for ruining the family name. She paused, then added, "By the way, when Tiffany left that night, she told me she wasn't sure she could go through with the wedding. I told her to call you. She didn't." "I'm sorry. You're not responsible for her choices," I replied. Then the fallout began.